back here.
Thanks.
My screen just went dark, just went completely dark. Okay, Chris, my apologies. Continue.
Okay, I thought I might have said something that was offensive, so thanks for coming back. Um, so yeah, I was just having a look at the top patients report. And so this can allow me, if I have more practitioners than myself, I can look at individuals to see who are their top patients. And this will give me a list of 100, our top 100 patients. The great thing is we do have the ability to look at the date that they were created in the system, but this also allows me to go to their profile and I can have a further look. I can see the total number of bookings, and the total number of arrivals, because that's an important thing. Perhaps someone cancels a lot, as well as the revenue that's connected with that top patient. And so we can look at everyone overall or individuals here, and so that can be a really helpful one. And one final list that I think, or report that can be really helpful, is the patient list. Now, I know we do have a MailChimp integration, so when it comes to marketing, that can be a really helpful tool, but I know not everyone might use MailChimp, or you might have other areas or other tools that you might use for that marketing. And so this can be really helpful with our filters. We can say, well, show me only my active patients and show me anyone that's had an appointment within the last 7 months, let's say. And perhaps we have a marketing that we'd like to do with them. We can filter for that, and then we can export that into Excel. And with that, we do have quite a bit of information, but email address, first and last name is part of that, which is really common when it comes to kind of the marketing side of things. So that can be another really helpful report as well. Now, there are some additional reports that are more kind of task focused. So the accounts receivable would definitely help us with any outstanding balances. But what I'd like to do is look in the billing area as well. Now, billing, you'll notice at the very top here, there's a lot of those same reports that are connected to the billing area are available here. Now, I'm not sure if everyone is submitting to insurance, but I wouldn't say this is necessarily a specific report, but it's an area that can help us action any rejected claims, let's say. So if I click in rejected, I would be able to see those claims and I can action those all in one place, or even see anything that is on hold. So those things that we might need to action can be available right here as well, in addition to all the other great insurance type features. Now, what I'd like to have a look at, and hopefully everybody's still doing okay. I'm throwing lots of report stuff at you, so hopefully I haven't glazed anyone's eyes over here. So I'd love to have a look at the financial side of reports. And so that's the bottom section with billing. And one of the top reports that can be really helpful for staff members, whether this is payroll or depending on kind of your arrangement with them, the compensation report can be a really helpful tool. The compensation report allows us to look for a specific staff member if we want to. So if we wanted to print that out and provide it to them, and specific date ranges, so I could say from the 1st to the 15th, let's say to the 17th of the month. But I also have the ability here, and this is a really important differentiator, collected cash. So how much revenue has come in for the work that's been done versus invoiced accrual, how much has been invoiced. I know it can be a little bit different, but I think collected cash is the best for cash flow. But I can look at things from these two different perspectives in this report area. And that detail button is back here as well. So that allows me to get the details. So I have these large numbers and up at the top. We can see those income categories. And so that's where if we're breaking out those income categories, I can see that information here. But I do also, if I'm looking down, I can see the different commissions, and that can give us kind of our payroll for that time frame. But if I need to investigate anything, right below here is all of the details available. So those are all the numbers, the smaller numbers that make up these larger numbers above. And so that compensation report can really quickly show you, what that compensation is going to look like for the practitioner. It can also show, areas that they're really strong in when it comes to the income categories. Now, a couple reports at the very top of our list in the billing section is the summary report and the sales report. And the summary report is a great one. It pulls together a few different types of information into the same place. And again, those same filters up at the very top. And so we could even look by discipline. So that's one thing that's a little bit different about this report. But in this section, we're able to see how much has been invoiced versus what has been applied to those dollar figures that are invoiced. And it is really common for these two numbers to be different, especially when we add in insurance to the mix, because sometimes it takes that time for those payments to be applied. But in the same report, we do have that breakdown, that sales breakdown. I really like this top section here and the percentages. So this is where if we're breaking out and adding additional income categories, then we get that finer level of detail. And with that, it shows us total percentage of what's been invoiced versus the dollar figure of what's been invoiced versus what's been applied for that subset of revenue. And then towards the bottom, we do have things like gift cards where the income is coming from, whether it's patient or in the insurers. If you do allow for tips, I'm not sure with chiropractic that's not common, but if you have any other disciplines, sometimes massage allows for that. All the tax information, if you do need to remit tax, as well as all the different transactions. So that large dollar figure came in through these different payment methods. And then, of course, we do have some credit information at the bottom. So the summary report really is that. It's a great summary of that revenue that's coming in, what's been invoiced versus paid. Okay, so I'm just going to jump on down to the sales report here as well. So the sales report, this allows us to look at things at a finer level of detail. So you'll notice that the details, those kind of line items are down below here. And so this gives that same capability that we looked at earlier, where we could say, well, show me anything that's unpaid or anything that's partially paid or anything that's outstanding. And so this can be really helpful as we're digging into a little bit when it comes to the last couple of weeks, what might be unpaid. If I filter for that, now I can look and see, oh, this invoice. Okay, now I can go and investigate things. And get that payment applied so that we do have that great and positive cash flow. We do have some numbers up at the top here, and sometimes this can be we'll touch on it a little bit here, but we can see what's the total amount that we've collected for those invoices during that time frame, and what's the total amount that we've collected as of today for that time frame. So I might just have a little wider swath of information here from the 1st to the 17th, because those numbers can look a little different. So we can see the results of our efforts, basically, to see, okay, well, we've invoiced, but we are collecting, and we are collecting more of that revenue that might be outstanding. And again, within this filter here, income categories comes up again. So we are able to look specifically at a smaller level of detail for that income category, and those individual sessions that make up those larger numbers as well. Okay. Now I don't know, are there any questions on any of those reports? I know it's been rapid fire here, so
You go back to the insurance reports and the rejected claims. I just was curious to see what it looks like. There was a view button on the right-hand side for like a particular rejected claim. I was curious if there's any like additional data on why it was rejected, or if that populates, or
yes, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so we can see here billing codes. And then if we are using ClaimMD, if we click right here, this will give us very specific information. So that can be that drop down there can be a real-time saver. Definitely. Yeah.
Hey, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, but are we doing an insurance call as well? Is that on the docket? Is that one of the things that we're doing?
Yeah, that's the next one up for you.
Excellent. I know Josh is probably interested in that.
For sure. Yeah, Josh, and if you have questions like in advance that you want to pass through Alex so that they're getting covered before you attend, or if you can't make the live recording, let us know and we can make sure those get covered in the session.
Awesome. So I'd love to look at one other report, and this is kind of a build your own adventure report with trends. One thing, so we do have some great indicators, but I think sometimes seeing my year over year, my week over week, that can be helpful. And so we can utilize these reports that we're already kind of running to then build a further spreadsheet. So I just want to show here. I've just created this. Now this is in numbers, so it's not my favorite spreadsheet system, but just an idea that I've worked with a few different folks on. We can do this by week, let's say, because sometimes my week, the date from this date to this date is a little bit different, right? So a holiday might fall differently and affect those numbers. But I can pull from my retention report, how many visits have I had? I can pull from my summary report, what's been invoiced during that time. Perhaps I want to see what's been collected as well. Typically invoiced is something that, that's the number, is how busy we are. When we get paid can look a little different from year to year and week to week, but this can allow us to basically then do comparisons. And so I can add in, some of that conditional formatting type stuff, spreadsheet talk, I know, but this allows us to say, okay, well, if I'm comparing this year versus last year, I want this to be green because it's positive as far as the amount that we've invoiced. We can do the same thing with our visits to say, well, we've had more visits, and we have a little bit more revenue, so maybe that's something that can be an indicator. And really, this is it's breadcrumbs in our storytelling to say, oh, I need to have a look at that. Could we increase the total spend per visit, perhaps? But I think this is something that can be helpful when we're running reports, is just to grab that information. And we wouldn't necessarily even need to export. We can just simply copy and paste some of these numbers from the reports here. So if I go to my patient retention report, this is where I can grab and see, okay, what's my total number of visits? When I'm running my summary report, I can see what's my total invoiced for that time frame. So sometimes utilizing those reports to build a further tool can be really helpful as well. And that's one that I've worked with quite a few folks on, because sometimes seeing those numbers side by side can be it'd be a helpful thing. So that is kind of my main summary of things. And I don't know, I'm happy to jump into to any other questions. I did want to just really quickly go over some of the different resources. So there is that link in the very top right corner where we can see those, we call them self-serve guides that tell us about the reports. The Jane demo site can be a really helpful tool. If you wanted to say, well, when I do this, this is what happens, you can definitely use that so you don't have to worry about the impact on your real life clinic. The support team is probably, I hope, your biggest resource. Please always feel free to give us a call if you have a question as you're digging into these reports, especially because it can be some time between running. You might not run every single report, and so the questions are just a normal thing, and you have a big team available to help. And the Get Help button, that gives you access to our support team, as well as all of those guides as well. And that's just right here. We do have a little bit of an AI tool. So if you wanted to ask a question, as well as just to search a guide, that's possible. So you can say I wanted to look at sales report. If I click search, that'll just take me and show me all of those guides. If I click ask AI, AI is going to go and try and find the very best answer for us. So sometimes, folks want to try that out. But of course, your support team is here and definitely happy to help when it comes to any questions that do come up. And something we always like to do is continue the conversation. So if you do have any questions, you can feel free, of course, to reach out to that support@JaneApp. And reach out to us. And we do have that Facebook group if you did want to participate there, and ask other folks the same thing. And I think, Alex, you might have something similar where you've got communications. So lots of resources to share information and how you might approach things, and a huge support team here and ready to jump in and help with any questions. Okay. Now, is there anything else that any other area that you'd like to review a little bit more on, or any other questions that pop to mind, or even feedback? If sometimes if you say, I'd really like it if we could do this thing, we always like to hear that, because we always want to be improving. We're pretty lucky to have an amazing coding team or a development team that is always open to hearing that additional feedback too.
I think you covered a lot. I guess, Chris, where should we begin? Because sometimes it can be overwhelming, a bit sensory overload, and software as a platform, I guess software as a service, it could seem like quite a behemoth. So what would just be the first report that you think we should really take ownership in and really take a deeper dive into and like master that? And then do you recommend we move on to the next one? Like what do you think we should start with?
I would say if you go to the reports area, looking at the summary and the sales reports, those can give us a good picture of that revenue side of things. And so these reports, and if you have questions about adding those additional income categories, we're happy to help along that side, because that can give us that greater insight. But I think having a look at the summary and the sales reports can be really helpful to understand, that revenue and that cash flow side of things. And then from there, what I think I did include a link that's called the day end reports. And so those day end reports include, so I would say these top two would be the top two I would recommend having a look at. And then from there, if you do have additional staff, I think stopping by the compensation report can be another helpful one, because that can give you a picture on each of those staff members and kind of revenue generation on that side of things.
Excellent. Yeah, because we do look at for our employees, not just those of us in the group that employ other providers, and they do have that performance-based pay. I saw on one of the reports there was a PVA, so patient visit average, and it was 4, right? And then is there a way to generate a report that shows what a patient's value is to your business? And some people call it lifetime customer value. Is there a spot for that? I didn't see that one, and I haven't seen it. Yeah, unless you have to create it. So walk me through that, Chris.
Yeah, so we wouldn't necessarily have a report specific to that.
Sure.
That's more the area I was looking at with patients. And so if I click on, let me just have a look here, because we have one patient that has a lot of Gail. So I think Gail has quite a few visits. So if we go to the billing area, and then if we click on statement, that will give us that total value. And so this will go and it will grab all of the amounts that have been invoiced, as well as paid and the balance. But this can be a great way to see that kind of total value of that patient. But we don't have a report specific to that. But that's definitely something that I could take back to our team if that would be okay with you.
Yeah, I mean, you could, one of the ways we coach our business owners on measuring it is you just take your revenue per month, and you divide that by how many new patients you had. That just gives you a ballpark average of or you do it annually and you just check to see, okay, there's one patient that came in and went through a full year of care with us, spent, I don't know, $5,000. So then on average, what did one patient, so therefore, if I do marketing, I do some events, then I know, okay, for every new person that enters my clinic, it's worth $1,500 for more or less $1,500. It's just a number, right? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I think I understood that a little differently. So I think there is a way to calculate that. That would be much easier. So
Excellent.
basically, I think we could use this billing summary report, and we could say, now again, my data is a little more limited than what yours will be, but I can say, okay, well, show me the last year. I'll just go from the 1st to the July 17th to today. And then this will show me my total amount invoiced at the very top here. So in this case, it's 201,000. And then from
a
there,
decent year, Chris.
Yeah. Well, that's up until July 17th, I guess. So we'll see what the year end is. Yeah. Everyone gets a vacation for me, I guess. Yeah. So then from there, I think we can look at our patient retention report, and so we could show the same time frame. And so that's where we could see our new clients, total clients. So we could say, show me just that subset, and we could do the division by total clients and that revenue amount. So we could
Yep.
use those key reports to get that average.
Excellent. No, it's all good. That's great. Thanks,
Awesome.
Chris. This has been great.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you, everyone, for holding on with me. I know reports is not always the most exciting thing, but hopefully there's a couple tips in there that'll make your life a little bit easier. And I say it over and over again. I really mean it. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We are always happy to assist and just make that a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent, Chris. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Yeah, if people have any questions, we can talk individually on our one-on-ones or next Wednesday on our group call. We can unpack how we all, because some people use different EHRs, so we can even compare and contrast the pros and the cons of all of the different EHRs. And like I have one Jane account and I have one other account for the other clinic. And so that I use the other one that Josh uses. So it's interesting because I could kind of see the wheels turning with Josh, because they're turning in my head too, where it's like we have to push submit and then we have to wait 24 hours for that data to be produced for us. It's like, but why can't I just see it now? Like you just
Yeah,
showed.
like I want it now. I don't want it tomorrow at this time.
That's right. It's like, congratulations, it will be available in 24 hours. Like, wait, what? It's 2024. I don't want to have to do that. So I feel your pain there, Josh. I sure do. Yeah, and I'm dying to learn more about the insurance thing. I really am. I'm dying to learn more. I'm excited about that. If you guys got a roll, we are on the hour mark. I know I try to keep you. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. I just have a boring financial call with my accountant / father. So I have nowhere to go for the next couple of minutes. I'll stick around if anybody wants to chat, if anybody has a pressing question for myself, Chris, or Lauren. If not, you guys are free to go. I give you permission to go be successful. And I appreciate you guys so much for hopping on the call today, hopefully learning a thing or two about reports and maybe some features, if you already use Jane, that you didn't know were available to you. So yeah, thank you again, guys. We'll give a little round of applause for Chris. Thank you so much for all that you've just done. Thank you. Lauren, any closing remarks to put you on the spot?
No, I love it. I thank you so much for paying attention, because I know the reporting, like Chris says, is not the easiest or most fun topic sometimes, but appreciate everyone involved. And yeah, if there are any other questions about Jane, we're happy to stay on. If not, hope everyone has a great day.
Awesome. Yeah. We understand in business that it isn't always the sexy things. It isn't always the most attractive, it's like the fun things are what everyone wants to do, but it's the things that are necessary for our business that we have to lean into. So it's the discipline mindset. You're preaching to the choir, right? Like this is the group that we're trying to build and cultivate. Because if you're only really interested in the fun things, then it's more of a job or a hobby. It's not a business. And if you really shied away from, the tougher things or the boring things, I've always thought that there's beauty in the mundane things over and over again. Oh, here we go. So this is Southeast Tennessee. I don't know. We were talking about the nice weather, super sunny when the call started. It is pouring right now. I just saw my wife just take off in the backyard. So yeah, if I lose internet connection right now, it's because I think a storm is coming through. But I will let you guys go. I will deal with the weather here. I'll stick around for maybe a couple more minutes if somebody has any questions. But again, thank you, Lauren and Chris from Jane hopping on here. And we got another one scheduled in Q3 where we're going to go over insurance. I'm really excited about that. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we will be back here again next week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yo,
What's up, man?
that was good. That was interesting to see kind of the behind the scenes on Jane. Some of those things were like I'm looking at it from my AHR standpoint, like how I liked how like you could email patients their invoices and whatnot. Fusion's got like mail my statements thing, and I reached out to that. I'm like, I'm supposed to fill out a form, and then someone's supposed to contact me for mail my statements, and then like it's been like a month, and I haven't heard anything back from them on
Dude.
that.
Yeah, I like, so here's the thing. I like the insurance billing process once I figured it out inside of Cairo Fusion. Like I do like it. It's pretty
Mhm.
easy, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Jane is equal to the insurance billing as Cairo Fusion, I'm switching.
Okay. Okay.
My staff are they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me.
Yeah, there's a learning curve there, but um, it seems like Jane has a lot more interactive kind of, like, I know enough about Car Fusion to do all my billing and post all my payments and like get around. But there are things that, some of my patients, I like how you can follow up with your patients and like text them. The only things I can text my patients are like appointment reminders,
Mhm.
I think, in Chiro Fusion. And then I've had people be like, well, I didn't get a reminder. The way that you can customize that and remind patients that haven't been in, for a while, I like that, just to jog their
Yeah.
memory. But
Yeah, I've like the thing that I like is, well, I'm sorry, the thing that I don't like about Cairo Fusion is it's like it's 2024, Josh, right? Like I actually want it to be user friendly, but I also want it to be like kind of like easy on the eyes, you know? And like when I look at the online booking and when I look at all of the emails and the correspondence that are like generated from the system, I'm like, this is like kind of like early computer era, like early 2000s. You know, like
mhm,
maybe I'm just being a little critic. But then when you get a Jane thing, it's like, oh, this almost looks like it just looks different, right? It looks easy to use and it is easy to use. Even though Cairo Fusion is also easy to use, it doesn't look easy to use. You know,
mhm,
like it looks, I don't know, it just looks very corporate, you know?
sure.
Um, whereas Jane is it also same with I think Cairo Fusion and Cairo Touch. I don't know if you've seen the back end of Cairo Touch, but it's like it just looks very like very cold, very like medical. And
Yeah,
it's like it's not user friendly in my opinion. So, anyways, it is what it is. These are just all my opinion. You're getting all my feelings today. So
right. Maybe like we were talking about yesterday, maybe I will switch systems, and then I can, really do reactivation campaign where I can be like, yeah, we got this new system we're bringing on, really excited, but we need to make sure your information's up to date.
that's right.
So
That's right. This is I've done this. I've switched EHRs. Okay, let me give you a breakdown. When I first started, I had Easy Notes, which was a touch screen and it wasn't even cloud based. It was like I could write notes at a stoplight, right? There's no internet connection required. It was awesome. Touch screen, Easy Notes. Then I switched from Easy Notes to, was it Jane? Did I go to Jane? Yeah, Easy Notes to Jane. And then from Jane to Cairo Fusion. And now I'm thinking about going back to Jane. Thankfully, some staff have like come and gone, so they're not going to be like, "Oh, we're going back to Jane." You know, they won't even know. You know,
right, yeah. I think
best
you
time
told
to
me
do that
about
though. Best time to do that
what's
though,
it.
January 1st. That's the best time to
Yeah.
do it. Yep.
Okay.
New year, switch over, start a clean slate. You kind of get all your records done at like the year end, and then you can
Hmm.
export the file on like December 31st. The only thing you have to be careful of is like if you close your account and you got insurance payments. So, you know, it's like you got to just be mindful of
Sure,
insurance payouts when you're switching systems. So,
that makes
um,
sense. Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't switched to EHRs, so some pointers on that are good to I'm
yeah.
open to.
I,
But yeah, be curious to see how their insurance, their whole billing platform works on that. But kind of piqued my interest, right?
yeah,
Because Cairo
yeah.
Fusion isn't really cutting it for me, or there are areas of it that I'm like, this should be like way more efficient,
Mhm.
but there's no real option for that. So.
I also noticed in Cower Fusion, there's like there's redundancies built into the system. So like you could go if you're on like the claim center or claims management, or I guess it's just, you know, you could go to patient account, you could go to claims management, you could go to EOB tracking, and you can get like almost exactly the same information, but just like one less piece of info. So it's like, oh, if I want to just look at what insurance paid on this date of service, right? I can see the date of service. I can see the total charges. I can see that it's been filed, but I just want to see this one thing. I have to go
Mhm.
to the claims
Different.
management. You have to
Yeah.
go somewhere else. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that's the frustrating
Yeah.
part.
Sure.
But maybe I'm just using it wrong. Maybe we need a Chirofusion, reports call. But anyways, I'll let you go, my friend. I'm gonna go.
All right.
I think there could be a dog outside running around, but I'm gonna get going.
Great.
Appreciate you, my
Okay.
friend. I'll see you. All right.
Yeah. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.